Thank God I'm redeemed. Thank God I'm redeemed. Brother Terry, just come on and I tell you this. I sent you a message yesterday. You do what the Lord Spirit what God puts in your spirit to do, speak. And I tell you, we may be few in number here, but we've had over 300 folks view. And I hope you ain't scared of cameras. But we've had, like I say, we've had over 300 something people view our services at times. So the word's going forth. And I know you're going to bless us even today. So do you need a water or anything, brother? Bristol, give me my water.
Appreciate it, brother. Well, I'm glad to be here tonight. I'm Brother Terry White from Pathway Church. This is a long drive for us, so it was exciting though. Got to take my wife and kiddos and explore up here on the mountain. But tonight I'm going to let y'all know my testimony, what God's done in my life, and my family's life, and it's going to be different. So welcome to all those online, and I'm glad for all those that are here with us. My name's Terry White. I'm a member of Pathway Church in Haleville, Alabama. I'm the media director, everything flyers, socials, the videos, going live, building websites, building apps. The list goes on. I handle it all, but before this happened, let's take a road trip to where it all started. My story is different from most people. I grew up in Haleville, Alabama. By the time I reached 6th grade, I was already getting into trouble. By 7th grade and 8th grade, I was on probation. Things weren't getting better, they were getting worse. In 8th grade, I got kicked out of Haleville. Then in 9th grade, my new school, Athens, Alabama, I made a terrorist threat and ended up getting kicked out of school. And all I can remember from that was being hogtied like a pig and carried out by 20 police officers at the age of, I think I was 15, it might have been. That's a long time ago though. But from there, my life started spiraling down. I went from school trouble to a military boot camp to a teenage boot camp, off-grid programs, then to jail, and eventually prison. Every step of the way I was scared, not just scared of the consequences, I was scared of who I was becoming. Through it all, I battled depression. The kind of depression that doesn't make you feel sad, the kind that makes you feel trapped in your own mind, the kind that makes you feel like you're losing control. It drove me to a place mentally where I felt completely insane. Like I was drowning and nobody could see it. People saw anger. People saw trouble. People saw mistakes. But nobody saw the fear. Nobody saw the pain, the depression that was eating me alive, and yet I'm still here. Because when I was running, even when I was broken, even when I was locked up, God never stopped chasing me. My story isn't perfect, and my past isn't clean, but my survival is proof that God can reach anyone and anywhere, even if it's in the darkest place. Because my story isn't about where I started, it's about how God didn't let me in there. So tonight, church, my story didn't start in the pew. It didn't start with a Bible in my hand. It didn't start with a microphone and a sermon title. It started with boot camps, detention centers, county jail, and a prison camp. I failed, and I don't mean once. I failed in school. I failed authority. I failed my family. I failed myself. And at 17, I was out in the streets, partying, trying to be somebody I wasn't. Uh, I was in and out of jail for the dumbest things. I'd walk by and just, I'd say something out of the way to an officer and they'd lock me up. Just for me being young and dumb and crazy. And I think the last time, it was about 2007 that I had probably been locked up more than 24 different times. I had just moved back to Halable after getting out of boot camp. That was a 6-week boot camp. I stayed there for almost 4 years. I just didn't want to come home. I kept fighting and doing everything I could to just stay away. And eventually I got released and come back to Halable, got into all this trouble, and it led me to prison. And I'm telling you, it's not what it is on TV. They're fighting, but it really took me from the so-called man I claimed to be back to the little boy that I really was. I fought every day just to stay alive. People tried to kill me more than once. And eventually I ended up joining a gang. Not to become a gangster, but protection. Because I'm a little country boy from Halable, Alabama, and all I know is cows and yeehaw and McDonald's. I don't know nothing about a gang. And I joined so I could have protection. But I'm just being honest. What the hardest part about it is that everything that I thought I was on the outside, all that went away as soon as I got behind the prison doors. I was deep into drugs, stealing, fighting anybody who looked at me wrong. Like I said, I joined the gang because I wanted protection, belonging, and an identity. I thought that was strength, but it was really fear wearing a mask. I wasn't tough. I was traumatized. I wasn't fearless. I was fatherless in my heart. I wasn't powerful. I was broken. But here's what I need you to hear early in this message. My failures did not cancel God's love. And yours doesn't either. But the greatest love is not found in a store or wrapped in plastic. It's not based on a performance. The greatest love bled on a cross. Isaiah 61:1 says, He sent me to bind up the brokenhearted and to proclaim freedom for the captives. The scripture isn't just poetry. That was me, brokenhearted, captive, and lost. And maybe that's you too. So ask yourself, am I ready to receive this love? Am I ready to stop running from the only thing that can heal me? For me, I remember the walk, not just the moment, but the actual walk. The handcuffs, head down, eyes scanning everything. My eyes was more on lock than the security system at Fort Knox. I was looking everywhere. It was one of the scariest moments of my life, though. I wasn't tough then. I wasn't brave. I was scared. Scared of who I'd become to survive. Scared I'd never see outside again. Scared that whatever good was left in me might die behind those walls. And when those doors slammed shut, something inside of me shut too. You can hear a prison door close and feel it in your soul. And for me, I felt it every single day. Prison doesn't just punish your past. It tries to erase your future. They strip you of your clothes. They strip you of your choices. Strip you of your name. You stop being a son. You stop being a brother. And you stop becoming or being a dreamer. You become a number. And some of you never went to prison, but your life is stripped too. Stripped you of your confidence. Stripped you of your joy and your innocence. Different uniform, same emptiness. I didn't know what real love was, though. I was confused, or I had confused love with loyalty. I confused love with whoever would fight beside me. I confused love with whoever didn't leave. But the streets will say I love you as long as you're useful. And for me, the streets, every time I was stealing or taking something that wasn't mine, it seemed like I could do what I want. I could live life how I wanted. But the second I decided to go against what the enemy had set forth and had planned, it seemed like You know, it was just dragging me further and further until eventually I decided to give in to what the enemy wanted. And I had a choice the day. I remember the officers asking me, do you remember the stuff that was stolen? And till this day, in the court system, the guys that they're like, Terrence wasn't even at the crime scene. But me being this so-called friend, I thought these guys were my friends. I took the blame while they got to go home. So I spent a lot of my teenage years in and out of jail and prison. And it was hard because I have to see those folks every day, whether it's at church, going to Piggly Wiggly, Walmart. I mean, but at the same time, God has placed forgiveness in me, and I've learned that I have to forgive and move on, because if I hold on to what they put me through, it doesn't do nothing but hinder me. And I wouldn't be the man I am today standing before you. Romans 5:8. But God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. That means before I got clean, before I changed, before I apologized, before I preached, he loved me. God didn't wait for me to become better. He loved me while I was bitter. And some of you may think, if God loved me, I wouldn't be like this. No, you're like this because you haven't fully received that love yet. When you truly receive his love, you stop looking for validation in broken places. And for me, I was looking for validation in friends, some family. And that's a big thing I had to learn, is that even though they're close and family are close, but you'll learn during the darkest times in your life who's truly there, and that's whether it's family or friends. And I love my family with all my heart, but I had to go through the darkest times of my life alone and realize that God was there for me more than anybody else when I thought God had left me. And without my kiddos and my wife today, I wouldn't be the man that I am now. They keep me going. They push me to be a better father, a better husband, a better minister, and where I can take my ministry to people that's been through the things or are going through the things that I've been through, to where I can show them that there's a way out, because there is a way out. Because you don't see it. You hear it in music, and people say that, you know, the world is going to have you locked in this so-called box for so long, and that there's no such thing as God. But I'm here, standing here today, telling you that there's a such thing as Jesus Christ, and he saved someone just like me almost 30-some years ago and brought me to the man I am today, where I could preach the gospel and go from church to church and spread my story and teach others that Jesus still saves, and it doesn't matter what the world says. But God didn't send me to prison. My choices did. I ignored warnings. I pushed limits. I thought I was untouchable. Boot camp didn't change me. Detention didn't scare me. The jail didn't wake me up. I thought I was hard, but I was hurting. And prison strips everything away. The stripes do too. No reputation, no fake toughness, no crowd cheering you on, just you and your thoughts. And that's dangerous when you don't like who you become. Psalms 107:13 and 14. Then they cried out to the Lord in their trouble, and he saved them. He broke away their chains. Some of you aren't in a physical cell, but you're locked up in addiction, locked up in anger, locked up in guilt, locked up in shame. Different cell, same chains. For me, I remember the first time I actually got locked up. I was 14. I was 13. Just got out of the 6th grade, or 5th or 6th grade. They sent us to Camp Picnic to Jasper, Alabama. They had said that, they do drug tests, and told me that I had been on all these drugs, and I knew I hadn't. For some reason, I was 13 and a meth addict. And I was this size also at 13 years old. So just because you know, I was a big kid. But I remember my grandpa, rest his soul, he always told me, if you don't get off these streets, Terry, you're going to always be in trouble. Him and my grandma. They stayed on me, but I was young and I just didn't listen to what they said. Oh, I'm gonna be all right. I'll be all right. I was popping pills and just angry at God. Growing up without a father, my mom, she had to do everything on her own, raised us the best she could. And I think a lot of this is me pushing to break those curses that my family had, because my mom worked job in and job out until she had passed away. She passed on my birthday in 2016. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why I go so hard now, is to show her that I'm more than what people said. I'm more than what the prison number is. I'm more than what the labels that the enemy and what the world has put on me. Because I know that I can change the world, but I can't do it on my own understanding. I have to do it with the love of Christ. I can't do it with anger and going and having hatred towards others, because there's someone out there right now, there's someone that's online watching now that has that one person that's struggling, that's in and out of jail, that's in and out of prison, that's fighting addictions. And for me, I faced multiple types of addictions, but I've overcome those. I've beat them, and I'm standing here today to tell you that you can. No addiction is too strong, whether it's alcohol, drugs, pornography, lust. No addiction is too strong for the power of Jesus Christ. All you have to do is put your faith in him and trust in him that he will lead you, because a lot of us want to be led by our own ideas and our own choices, and not realizing that it's not how we want it, it's how he does it. It's Yahweh for a reason. It's not our way, it's Yahweh. And we have to realize that. For me, I had to focus my mind, because for the longest, me and my wife have been married going on 16 years. Make sure I get that right. Get in trouble. But she has taught me a lot. And I've had my ups and downs where I failed as a husband and a father. But I have two strong teachers, Pastor Mark Fell and Pastor Angie Fell, that have laced me with knowledge to where I can be better and learn how to lead my household as a husband's supposed to in the Bible, and be a great husband and set a great example for my kids, because without them, I wouldn't be standing here today. I remember the darkest choices and things that I was doing in the world. Each time, it's why I love my kids so much, because each time one of my kids was born during the darkest times in my life. And it's crazy. It shouldn't have took 3 kids, but I mean, God does things the way he wants it. But each time a kid was born, and I think about it, my last little boy, Jackson, he was born in the last stage where I was doing stupid things. And I sit back and look at him today, the choices I made, and I realized that God sent him as a wake-up call for me. It's time to get right. And it shouldn't take things like that, but at the same time, I believe it was. I believe he was sent here for a reason. But if I could tell you anything, I'd say, if you're tired of running, if you're tired of pretending you're okay, if you're tired of living locked up inside, this is your moment. Love found you, grace is calling you, freedom is waiting. You don't have to clean yourself up first. You don't have to impress anyone. You don't have to surrender. From love through prison to his promise, and to his promise is this: you are not too far gone. For me, 17 years old, I was still a kid, but already living like a man at war. 17 years old enough to be charged, too young to understand the charges. 17 with rage in my chest and pain that I didn't have a language for. I wasn't bad, I was broken. 17 years old, I was trying to prove I was hard, but life was already hard and hit me even harder. No father's hand to guide me, no blueprint for manhood, just streets whispering, be tough or be taken. So I chose tough. I chose fist over feelings, games over guidance, drugs over dealing with trauma. 17 years old and already addicted to survival. I called it loyalty, but it was fear. I called it strength, but it was insecurity screaming. And with those cuffs clicked on my wrist, and when those cuffs clicked, I was still 17, still against skin, reality against pride. That walk felt long, not just down a hallway, but away from childhood. Doors slammed, and I realized something. I wasn't invincible as I pretended to be. 17 years old at a place built to harden grown men, trying not to cry, trying not to break, trying not to become someone I didn't recognize. Prison will age you fast. It strips your name, strips your freedom, strips your identity. And I remember thinking, is this it? Is this all I'll ever be? A statistic, a headline, a wasted life? But heaven saw something different. While I was 17 and sentenced, God was already planning restoration. Jeremiah 1:5 says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. That means at 17, even in a cell, I was still known, still called, still chosen. I didn't meet God in comfort. I met him in confinement. And I didn't pray a fancy prayer. I just whispered, God, I'm tired. And in that tiredness, he introduced me to love. Not street love, not temporary love, but covenant love. That kind that doesn't walk out when you mess up. That kind that says, you're not done. 17 years old and thought my life was over, but it was just the beginning. What the streets tried to claim, Jesus redeemed. And now when I look back at 17, I don't see a lost cause. I see a young man fighting battles he didn't choose without tools. He was without the tools he was never given. And I see Grace standing in that cell saying, you will preach, you will lead, you will break chains you once wore. 17 years old wasn't my ending, it was the setup, because sometimes God lets you hit rock bottom just so you can discover he's the rock. And now I stand here, not proud of my past, but grateful for redemption. But that 17-year-old boy they thought was finished, but heaven said he's just getting started. Like I said, my testimony is not the fancy testimony where, I didn't have a family where they said, hey, we're going to put you here, get you ready. I had to fight this on my own. I battled boot camps. I battled the system. I got off probation. We went to the beach, was it 2010, was it? Or later than that? About 2012, we went to Daytona Beach, my first beach trip ever. And that was also me being on probation for since my 6th grade year. I reported to a probation officer. And that was my last day of freedom, or my first day of freedom of being a free man. And I got the call last year from a DA in Double Springs, the same crimes that I was convicted of. We got the call, hey, we need you to pay on the restitution. And the restitution from last time I checked was like 10 grand. Stuff I never even looked at. They still to this day, I don't know what it looked like. I know what it was, but now I just owe 10% of what's supposed to be paid. And my wife, she vouched for me. Like, we hadn't paid $10,000. But to get that call and they're like, hey, pay this one off and then pay that. And I was talking with my pastor, it's exact 10% of what that was. And I'm just like, I thank God for it. Because, God was still moving even when I thought he wasn't. God was still working behind the scenes even when I thought he wasn't. Our pastor always says is that when you think God isn't moving, he's already in the future setting up the place. All you got to do is quit looking at the past. And I think about it all the time. I'm like, this year started out strong. I didn't have a job last year. I had lost my job in a place where my health, it took very bad toll on me. My heart, I had a torn heart valve. I would have episodes where I was having a heart attack all the time. They got the worst of me, and I couldn't work. And the place I worked at wasn't okay with it, so they fired me. And for months, my wife, she took over. And I thank her every day for that because she led the house like a quarterback, strong and in need. And it was hard because, I mean, we're all men, we're married. But she took over when I wasn't able to. And now, starting January of this year, I got a job making more money than I've ever made. I work 40 plus hours. I'm in every church. I'm doing videos and flyers for churches all over Alabama, building websites, making apps. God's doing great things in my life right now, and I'm so thankful for it because, we went from having nothing to God blessing us tremendously. And we just got a new home, and it's a blessing, but it's also at the same time, it's when you're obedient and you trust in God and you use that faith that He says, and all it takes is just a little bit. Because a lot of us want to take faith and it takes a whole gap full, and all it takes is just a little. And that's what it took for me. I had to believe that, my wife said 2026 is going to be the year that we're debt free. And so far, we're paying off bills after bills after bills. Got a new truck, got a new place to live. Our family's more happier than we've been in a long time. I believe that God's just getting started. I really believe it. And a lot of y'all don't know that this is only the second time I've actually been called out to actually minister. A lot of it's just been me doing it, walking up the streets, walking in the store. Hey, you're gonna listen to me. You gotta listen. I believe most of it, it's God putting it. Hey, this person's going through something, so you need to reach out. But my Pastor Angie always says is that every 18 seconds, there's someone out here in the streets that's dying. And I want to use that 18 seconds to where I can minister to someone, whether it's walking in Walmart, or whether it's walking in Burger King, or it's someone walking down the road. God can use your story to transform many lives. All you have to do is let Him. I believe that tonight that I'll sit here to do that. I believe that my story will reach those who are lost, those who don't understand that even though you feel like you're not called, God's standing with His arms open. A lot of us don't realize that we seek God sometimes and we say that He's not talking and ask for a word, but when God has given you a word, we're so blocked by the world. And for me, I had blinders on for 17 years of my life, and now my blinders are off and I've stomped on them. They're crushed, and I'm on fire for God, and I'm ready to take the word to the world. And if they don't want to hear it, I'm still going to keep going. Amen. I'm just decided what God's doing in my life, and I'm going to continue to push, whether it's here on the mountaintop or down in the valleys. I'm going to continue to push to spread the gospel by any means. I'm just so excited, bro. I appreciate y'all for inviting us out. This has been the biggest opportunity for me. I honestly feel like a superstar. I'm just excited. I'm thankful for what God's doing. I'm proud to be a member of the Church of God of Prophecy. Quick story. I was actually 14 when I was 14 years old. Pastor Mark had actually reached out to me when they was in Russellville. And that's when I started going before me and my wife ever got married. And I left, and praise and all that stuff happened. And we met, Pastor Mark and me met back again in Haleville at a Walmart on the donut aisle. And he laughed at it. They actually bought me donuts a couple of services ago to commemorate that story. But we met on the donut aisle, and I was married, and he's like, "You need to come back to church." And I wasn't trying to hear it. I was, yeah, we'll be there Sunday. I know it. I was lying. I was lying through my teeth. And he kept, every Sunday, I don't know why I was involved every Sunday for donuts. But we met at the donut aisle every single Sunday. Hey, you need to be at church Sunday. You need to be at church. And for 4 Sundays, he done that. And I didn't think nothing else about it. That 5th Sunday, we met donut aisle. And the crazy part is we never bought donuts. No time we was in there. He's like, you need to be at church Sunday. And that 5th Sunday, he's like, come to church. I'm like, yeah. And then Sunday rolls around and we're walking through the doors. And that was a couple of years ago. My oldest was born. And we've been going to church every day since then. My wife is strong in the church. My kids are learning the Bible. Got strong teachers just showing them the way and how to live Christ-like. Other than that, I'm just thankful to be here, and I'm thankful for y'all inviting me out here. That's all I have.
Thank you, brother. We're going to invite you out here to come again. But what you talk about in Walmart, brother, that's where one-on-one, I love it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
One-on-one. I appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
God bless you. Yeah, we're going to, might be a long ways, but we're going to invite you up here again. But your story touched me. I texted one of our guys that attends this church. He's got a son. I went to court with him almost 17 years ago when the boy pleaded 25 years. He's locked up in, yeah. And they tell the stuff that going on right now with that boy and where he's at. He's worse shape than he was when he went 17 years ago. But I was hoping they'd be here, that family would be here. But God's still good. He's, he can meet and do things. Again, part of redemption story. Her cousin who introduced me to her almost 39 years ago. That boy right here, he had a sentence of 23 years. 20-something years. Done had his prison number. The judge released him. He's told that story, and I replayed it recently on Facebook. But it's been 9 years, I think maybe 9 years. The federal judges he was trying to put him under, the federal people that was trying to put him under jail, he's working with now. Getting people in the detox places and rehabs and things. And, God could turn anybody's life around. And I'm so thankful. Your story is different than my story. We all got our story. And when we tell it, even at Walmart, that's our story. And, again, I appreciate you coming. And God's faithful. He is. He is very faithful. So, I said this earlier, and I want you to do that. I want us all together up here, and I said there's names in this box. Has been put in this box for the last 15 years or so. And some of them been anointed so much you can't even read, but God knows. And some's been delivered, some's been set free, some's been healed, some went on to glory.
It is an 6 that were well. I was looking for paper in case they had anything.
You talking about a little bit of faith, brother? These mustard seeds. This is not the only first bottle. There used to be mustard seeds in there everywhere. Just a little faith. Little faith.
If you have any names that you want to put in our prayer box, maybe that's what needs to be prayed over. You can put your name on it. If you want to. If you want to come to my name. There was, but. She wants to put hers in.
say you went to school in Athens?
Yeah,
That's what I learned to drive in town was in Athens. I lived in north there up in Tennessee. My mom always went to Athens shop. She still lives in Ardmore.
I was there the year I've never been to Richard Hendricks and played in Athens. He's a basketball player. But he played, I went there the year